Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is Dee, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is the Six of Stones and Exploitation. And we haven't seen this card in a little bit, at least in the last 85 days, maybe even 90. But, the thought process that was coming across today for me as I thought about, meditated on this card, thought about it, is actually two things, all right? Right now, you're very vulnerable, okay? With the King of Vessels and the Heron coming out and talking to you, and all this is being done within the World Tree, okay? So here you are within the World Tree, right? And you're making your way out of it, all right? I feel that you're coming out of it, and as soon as you come out of it, you're still basking in this glow, but you feel vulnerable. Okay, you feel very vulnerable because you have just completed this 90-day, 85 to 90-day journey as a wanderer coming into the Wildwood Forest. And you've learned all these lessons. You've learned, how you've gained wisdom, you've gained courage, you've gained patience, you've gained a different perspective on everything. And, as you're in this tree and you're feeling the roots, you're feeling the leaves, you're feeling the resources that are in there, all right? It's a little bit too much, okay? And you don't want to take everything that's out of the tree, okay? So you leave that comfort of what the tree is. You leave that comfort of where the heron is. Now, the heron's going to follow you out, okay? And he looks at you and he says, that was very wise of you to go ahead and go out the back door of the World Tree. And, now you are starting on that next piece of your spiritual journey, whatever it may be, okay? But as you walked out and you see the sunlight come at you and you're being overwhelmed with all these feelings from the King of Vessels and the Heron, you're kind of overwhelmed with everything, like I said. And, now you're starting to get the world influences coming at you, right? Where are you going to go next? What's going to happen? How are we going to move forward, right? And, you're looking at it saying, I have the resources to use as I move forward. I want to keep this balance that I have and keep it from damaging myself, okay? I don't want these fires to encroach. I don't want, I want these beehives to thrive. I want this to be a brand new rake. I don't want to feel, exploited, okay? So, as a result of that, because of your vulnerability, as you just walk out of this nice, awesome energy, you're telling yourself, you know what? I need to hold some of this in, all right? I need to put up a shield around me so I don't get exploited from, those that are coming at me, because now I feel like that beacon of light, right? I feel like that, I feel like that flame where all the moths are coming at me, all right? And as you're going through this, okay, you understand somewhat within your mind and within your mind's eye that, okay, I'm a leader. All right, I'm a visionary. All right, I need to come out looking controlled, looking disciplined, right? And as, you look around and you see a new perspective of the world that you're living in, you see the macro picture of the financial institutions, the educational systems, the governments, the health systems, and everything that is breaking down on that. And I'm sure there are some ideas going through and saying, you know what? All these systems has been exploited. All these, ideologies and methodologies have been exploited. And I don't want to be a part of that. Okay? So, as you look at that, you tend to lose faith in those systems. And when you lose faith in the systems and you lose faith in the leaders, you start to draw more inward. Okay? And you say to yourself, I am not going to take part of that exploitation. I want to bring a light to the world and exploit what's out there in that aspect. Shed light onto, the breakdowns. And that could be, it doesn't have to be in a macro level. It could be at a micro level, just within your own family dynamics. And looking at that and saying, okay, we talked a little bit about this before we entered the world tree, is, saving that Starbucks money for your trip, to Disney World or to Europe, right? Looking at the educational systems that's going on within your own social dynamics and saying, you know what, I need to study more about finances, or I need to educate my children, okay, on finances, on just education itself, right? We need to, look at the government and say, okay, what is going on within our government to where I'm paying taxes where I really don't need to be paying a tax on, right? And then when that bond comes up or there's a vote going up, you go out there and you vote for or against whatever is you believe. And it's the same thing with your health systems. A lot of us go into the health systems and we don't ask questions. What is the cost? What is my insurance covering? Before I have this procedure, I want to know what I'm getting myself into. Not only financially, but will this solve the problem? Is there a natural remedy that could solve this problem, right? Same thing with the mental systems, right? I could go to psychoanalysts and psychotherapists all I want and pay buku bucks for all this. But at the same time, what if I just took 30 minutes in the morning and meditated, cleared my soul, cleared my senses, cleared my mind out of negative thoughts, and then went about, how do I see my day going, right? So, so those are different avenues where you can look at things from a different perspective and say, you know what, this is how I want to exploit my situation. I don't want to push myself onto others. I want to make myself better for the journey going forward. And when you do that, when you become aware of that worldly exploitation, you begin to grow again. You begin to see a different path unfolding before you. And when that path starts unfolding, before you, then you can go ahead and look at different avenues on where you can save those resources and use them wisely to move ahead on your spiritual journey. So that's today's card of the day, the Six of Stones and Exploitation. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, and give me a thumbs up. And this is D for the Spirit's Path, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care, God bless, and stay safe, everybody.